To get started, you want to thread both your cords onto your button and you want to pull them out equally at both sides. And then you want to take your board and you want to clip your button to the top of your board. So once you've attached your button to the top of your board, you want to take your shortest cords, which should be the ones in the centre, you want to clip these to the bottom of your board. And then on the outside you should have both of your longest cords. So to start this pattern I'm going to do a couple of square knots. So you want to go over and then over and then pull through. And then you want to go under, under and pull through. And then you just want to keep repeating this until you've got your first section as long as you want it. So once you've got the first part as long as you want it, you can start adding your beads, and you can do this part shorter if you want, but because it's at the back I haven't put beads on this bit. So you can start with your outside beads or your inside beads, whichever you prefer. So I'm going to do the outside beads. So I'm going to add one bead to the outside cord. And then another bead to the other outside cord. And then I want to push these beads into place, and then I'm going to do 2 square knots to keep them in place. And next I want to remove the shortest cords from the bottom of the board, and I'm going to add the tubular beads. So I want to insert both the cords through these beads and then reattach the short cords to the bottom of the board. Now to push this one up into place like I did with those, and again do 2 square knots to hold them in place. And then once I've done that, I'm going to go back to what I did here, and I'm going to add 2 small beads. And this time I'm doing it at either side. So I'm going to add 1 bead to this cord and 1 bead to this cord, just like I did there. And again, to hold them in place, I'm going to do 2 square knots. And once I've done this bit, I'm going to do what I did there again. So taking my 2 shortest cords and one of my tubular beads, I'm going to insert both cords into the bead, reattach the shortest cords, push the bead up and do 2 square knots to hold it in place. And this is the pattern that you want to repeat all the way down until you've got your bracelet or your anklet, as long as you want it to be. But remember, if you've done a long piece here, do the same amount at the other side, so allow for that when you're adding your beads. So once you've got it as long as you want it, you can unclip your cords from the bottom of the board, and then you want to split your cords into 2 sections. So you want to put one section out of the way and take the outside cord at this side and leave it free, and then clip the remaining cord to the bottom of the board. And then you want to do hitch knots to create your buttonhole. So you want to go over and then pull through, and then under and pull through. And keep doing this until you've got a large enough buttonhole, and how large you need will depend on the size of your button, so you want to measure as you go along. And you want to do this at both sides. So once you've done both sides of your buttonhole, you can take the two cords in the centre and clip them back to the bottom of the board. And then to fasten off your buttonhole, you want to do square knots just to pull the two sides together. So once you're happy you've got everything nice and tight, you can remove it from the bottom of the board. And then you want to trim and seal any excess. So I'm going to use a lighter to seal here, but you could use glue if you preferred. And once you've finished, you should end up with something that looks like this.